Hey everyone, I'm going to go through an anatomy figure drawing process that I've been doing a lot of lately. I've been working on developing a new type of artist mannequin. You may have seen this in some of my other videos, but it's an actual skeleton that you can pose, and all the joints are set up just like they are in like the human body. So the skeleton moves the way the human body does. So I feel like it's a very good tool for practicing anatomy. It basically gets the proportions out of the way because the proportions are all correct. This is the female skeleton. I also have a male, but this is the female one. So I've been doing a lot of testing with it basically.
So I have 8 photos of this skeleton mannequin that you can download if you want to draw along or practice yourself, and I'm putting the link to those in the description.
I should mention that I used a very long telephoto lens to take this picture to minimize any distortion on the figure, just to help make it look more realistic. Taking a photo with the camera too close, what happens is the camera is, because it's so close, it's actually looking upwards at the head and looking downwards at the feet. So that's where you get the distortion, is because it can see all these regions from different angles. You know, if you use that as your reference, that's going to affect your final artwork. It's kind of look a little wonky. Whereas if you get the camera further away, it's seeing everything more kind of on the same plane, and you get a little bit more realistic results. So I'm just going to be doing this in Procreate on my iPad. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm just going to use a regular pencil, and I'm going to use a red color. And so I like going in and starting in some key areas here on the iliac crest. This is a very nice landmark to start with. How I've gotten to this point, it's a lot of back and forth, trial and error. I took some anatomy courses throughout my life. I took one in high school. I studied anatomy throughout my college years. Recently, I had purchased the Proko anatomy course just to help keep myself up to date. I thought that one was good, but I think any anatomy course is helpful to where you can actually learn about the muscles and where they insert and where they originate from. So that when you have a model like this, it's helpful to know, okay, so if I know that the gluteus medius sits right in here along the iliac crest here, I know it fills up the majority of this arc, this moon shape here. And then, well, where does it go? Well, I know that it all pretty much goes right here to the top of the femur. This is called the greater trochanter. So once I know these 2 points, then I can draw it in like this. And I'm not always right. You know, what I do is I like to practice, you know, without any sort of reference, trying to draw out of my head. And then when I'm done, I'll go and either look at my anatomy course, or I've also got a book on anatomy. It's called Anatomy for Sculptors. And this is a really cool book that is pretty much just all photographs, diagrams, drawings, not a whole lot of text. But this is a great reference. It's very thorough. Another thing I like to reference is just some sort of anatomy app that has 3D views. This is very helpful. And the nice thing about this is, say I'm working on the leg over here, and so here's that gluteus medius right here. Not only can I learn the name, but if I can't really see it, if it's obscured by other muscles, I can click on those and I can hide them, so that it just helps get everything out of the way, so I can see that, oh, okay, yeah, this is where it starts, kind of at the front of the ilium, comes almost all the way to the back, comes around, and then the whole thing tapers down to the greater trochanter here. So that's a great reference. So I'm always going back and forth, back and forth. And the goal is to get to this point where I don't need to use reference anymore, to where I can look at something or even draw my own basic skeleton and put the muscles on it and know that I'm putting them in the right spot. So I kind of consider all this kind of like training wheels right now. I mean, even this model, you know, this posable model is like a training wheel, because eventually I want to get to the point where I don't need this anymore. But for now, it's a really nice tool to have. And I'm working on trying to get this in development to where, you know, maybe I could possibly sell them if there's an interest. But right now, I'm still working through the kinks. There's a few little problems, and the biggest hurdle right now is cost. It's really expensive to make one of these, so I'm not even sure if anyone would even want to buy them. But anyway, moving on. I've got the gluteus medius in here, and then coming down along the back of the femur right here is where the gluteus maximus is going to come in. This is going to come off here, and then the sacrum right here, the tailbone, it's got an arc like this. I know that the gluteus maximus comes off of this arc, and then I'm just going to try and round it nice and round and come right into here like this, right into the back of that femur. Let's go all the way up to the pelvis right there. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and erase these little cross contour lines, just to keep things simple. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on in the femur. I do know that what I like to do is I like to get the kneecap in there right off the bat. You know, it's sitting up a little bit from the tibia right here. It attaches with a ligament right here, and that goes right into it. The reason I would like to get that in is because all the quad muscles attach to the knee. And this one on the outside, since we're looking at the outside of the femur, this is going to be the vastus lateralis. That's going to come from the knee, and it's going to, I've always kind of pictured this as like almost like a fish shape, and it's going to attach right here on the side under the greater trochanter as well. And so I'm just going to draw an even curve, and then on the other side as well. So just kind of a fish shape, just like this. And a lot of times I'll go back and forth. So after I draw a muscle, maybe I've drawn it too big, you know, as I go along, you know, this will start to take shape, and I'll look at things and be like, oh, that one looks a little big. So I'll come back in and reshape it, make it smaller, make it bigger. But for now, this is a good starting point, I think. And then for my eraser, I'm just using a soft airbrush since this is pencil. And I'll go back and forth between the two. So I've got that one in place. Next, the middle, the rectus femoris sits right in the middle of the quad. So it attaches to the middle of the quad. And so it's going to be sitting right on top of the femur, and it hits right here. So this point right here on the pelvis, this point right here, I think that's called the acis. There's two muscles that are going to attach right there, and I'll get to those in a minute. But right underneath that, as this comes in here like this little concave shape here, that's where the the rectus femoris is going to attach. So it's going to attach there, and it's just nice even curve all the way to the knee. We'll just start with that. There's factors that will affect the shape, especially of these larger muscles. For now, I'm just going to draw it as a nice long arc like that, but I'll get to it in a second. All right, so we've got those two main quad muscles on there, and because I already have the gluteus here, and I know where it attaches, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to erase, because it goes underneath that outside quad muscle. So I'm just going to erase that. Same here, I don't need this anymore. It goes underneath that gluteus medius. All right, so the next muscle that starts at this ACES point here, I'm just going to kind of rough in this shape that goes from here, it curves and then goes all the way down the outside of the leg, and then it kind of, see this angle right here on the tibia? It's just going to attach right there, and it's just going to be a long band, and this is not a muscle. This is called the ilio tibial tract, and it's just a long piece of thin material. So it's going to be nice and pretty tight along this outside. Now, because these muscles have form, you know, this muscle, this vastus lateralis, it has form. You know, it's bulging outward like this. These cross contour lines I'm drawing kind of help illustrate that, how it's bulging. So when this band comes and hits this muscle, that could influence the shape. So that's why I'll probably come up like this a little bit and then come up like that. So that's what I meant earlier by I might come back and alter the shapes of things after I've got them in place. So with this one, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of alter the shape a little bit, just round it a little more through here and then tuck it back up like that. Okay, so that's one part of the iliotibial tract that goes up to the ACES, and that actually connects to a muscle. So this is a muscle right here. This is called the tensor fasciae latee. Probably not pronouncing it right, but this is a muscle that comes off of that ACES, and that's all that muscle attaches to is this iliotibial tract. I'm trying to figure out the shape right now, so I think it's kind of just like this, just kind of, again, like that fish shape. And I have a tendency to sometimes draw muscles with this concave shape, you know, going in like this, and I don't think that's right. I think the muscle needs to be more like this. And then of course it tapers a bit, and so it's going to come down right through there like that. And then the other end of this track, because it attaches down here on the lower leg, that's going to come up, and this almost follows the bottom of this outside muscle here, the vastus lateralis. It kind of follows it and then just attaches into the gluteus maximus right here. This is not a real prominent feature on the body, but sometimes you will see it, but I just like to have it in there. And then I'm going to erase this rectus femoris right in here, that center quad muscle, because it goes beneath this one. So I'm just kind of cleaning up as I go. And this I got a little crazy, a little dark, so I'm just going to, I'm using my eraser and I'm just kind of cleaning up like that. Okay, so these are looking good. I'm starting to get the shape of the thigh created. The other muscles you're going to see is the hamstring muscles. You're going to see one of the hamstring muscles back here, and it's going to attach right here on the pelvis. So this might be hard to see, but the pelvis has this almost like a hoop shape at the back right there. And I'm trying to remember, sometimes I can't remember. I think it's over in this region right here is where the hamstrings attach, I think. And I'm going to double check that because I'm doubting myself right now. But I think it's somewhere right in here. And it's going to come out and in, and then it's going to attach also same place here. And I can't remember if it attaches, I think it attaches above the attachment for the iliotibial tract. That's something I'm not sure of, so I'll probably go back and check that. And that's a good thing to do because when I realize that, oh, okay, if I did get it in the wrong place, that's going to help solidify it in my mind so that the next time I draw it, I'll remember, oh yeah, that goes above, not below. So for now, I'm going to put it above. And it kind of stretches through here, stretches kind of tight. And then goes into the muscle. Another thing I can think about too is how is this leg positioned? Is it, is it flexed? Is it extended? Because muscles only pull. That's their only job. They can only pull. They can't do anything else. So if this leg, for example, say we've got the femur right here going in this direction, if the lower leg was going like this, then this hamstring muscle would be flexed because it's pulling that leg back. That's the muscle that helps pull the leg back. So I might make the belly a little fatter in that sense. Whereas this is kind of more and more of a relaxed state. It's not exactly out. This same thing, if we had the femur going this way and then the leg was going out like this, in that instance, the hamstring would be a little more stretched like this. So here it's flexed. And here it's stretched out. So see the difference? And this is something I can do throughout my entire drawing with every single muscle group. And that'll just help get a little more realism, a little more believability, a little more accuracy in my drawings. All right, so for now, it's not exactly flexed, it's not exactly stretched, it's just kind of in a relaxed state. I'm just going to put it in here like this. And that's pretty good for the upper leg. We can't see the muscles on the other side, so I'm not even going to worry about them. There's another muscle that attaches just on the other side of this TFL. Tensor fasciae latee, and that's the sartorius, but it's right on the other side and we don't see it, so I'm not even going to worry about it. All right, now going to the lower leg, the gastrocnemius, or the calf muscle. So it attaches right above the femur right here. So the femur has this round shape that goes like this. Can't really see it there, but let's do this. Here's the femur. It's got this round shape like this, and then it goes up. And the gastronemis, or the calf muscle, comes right over it like that. And then there's a little opening right in the middle. So I can see the roundness right here. So just right above it, I'm going to come right out like that. And this is going to be kind of a shape like this. I'm going to come a long line like this and then a short line like that. And that's where it starts. So that's a simplified version right there. From the back of the foot bone, the heel bone right here, this is where it attaches. This is the Achilles tendon. So that's going to kind of go in a little bit and then come out. So it's a little concave and then it comes out and goes a little convex, kind of like this. So this longer region right here, this is your convex region. And then it's got a little shorter concave version right here. And in case you're unsure of the meaning of those words, ever since I was a kid, I was always taught about the cave. This part of the word, the cave, that's going in. If you have the side of a mountain and there's an opening that goes in, that's a cave, right? So it's going in. So when we're thinking about this line, this is going in towards the body, right? It's going in, so that's concave. And then this is the opposite. It's coming out it's going out this way, so this is the convex. That's how I always remember that. Okay, and then the calf muscle, I always kind of guess on this. I always look about halfway between here and here, roughly about halfway, and maybe even a little bit lower, just a bit. And I just eyeball this, and that's roughly where I end the calf muscle at. So I'm going to go ahead and round this now, this way and then this way. And this one, let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. This one, so we've got convex, right? It's coming out this way, down here, and it's shorter here, from here to here, and then from here to here, it's longer. What happens here is it maintains its convexness, but then as it gets to this region here, if we were to exaggerate that, that's coming off of that femur like this, and then it's coming out like this. And again, this is exaggerated, but just so you can see that there's a little bit of concaveness right as it comes in and comes up over that femur and attaches. But you can get away with just drawing this as an even, no variation on the line, on the contour. You can just keep it straight like this. But if you want to get some subtleties in there, you could, if you wanted to, kind of get a little bit of that in there if you want. Not a big deal. Nobody will probably ever notice. All right, so then the front of the shin is just going to follow the bone, come down. Now, one thing I should point out on my model that I built, it's a little fatter right here on the ankle than the actual human shin bone. And that's because there's a magnet in here. And for the magnet to actually fit inside this tibia bone, I had to make this region a little fatter. So just know this is not anatomically correct right here. But anyway, the front of the shin bone, there's really no muscle on the front of the shin bone. Let's just go ahead and round this through here and then come. And notice how I'm not drawing directly on the bone. I'm giving myself some clearance for, you know, all the stuff that's in there, the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments. You gotta give yourself a little bit of room for those. Those are taking up space. So I'm not drawing directly on the bone. And then I'm just gonna simplify this through here. Again, not drawing on the bone. And then I know there's a big fat pad on the heel right here that gives it its shape like this. All right. Okay, so sometimes, depending on the angle, you might be able to see the muscle that is on the medial side of the tibia, but this is turned just slightly enough to where I don't think we'd see it. So I'm just going to use the contour of the bone. Now this is the fibula right here. Right here where it attaches is a key landmark. Bunch of muscles attached there. However, you usually don't see a lot of the muscle tone in the lower leg, but I still think it's good to know it. So this is an important landmark. And then the other down at the bottom right here, the ankle bone. Notice this is just one bone, the fibula, which creates these two landmarks. And from there, you can, if you want, attach muscles. The soleus sits back here like this. It attaches here and it comes back behind the ankle bone here. The soleus back here, it doesn't attach to the fibula, it's actually attached to the tibia. But so it's going to kind of go back behind right there. And this calf is well developed at this angle. I think I might bring this up like this. So we'll probably obscure that muscle right there. And then attached here to the tip of the fibula is a muscle that does come down, and it goes right along the soleus. So we'll just draw that right there. And I think that is the peroneus longus, or it's I've also heard it called the fibularis longus. And sometimes it helps me to know the names of muscles. I think it really does help. Just knowing the name, giving it an identity. This one's easy to remember because it's attached to the fibula, so it's the fibularis. It's the long muscle, which means there's going to be others. So this is another thing that helps me remember, is that there are 3 muscles in this lower leg that have the name fibularis or peroneus. There's the longus, there's the brevis, and there's the tertius. Brevis means short, like brief. That one is down here as well. It goes right back behind the ankle bone, and I think it just sits behind, the longest muscle, so it just kind of comes like this. And these all wrap around and come down the foot like this. So these are going to come over like this and attach through here. I don't pay too much attention to these tendons on the feet. However, if I get to a point where I need to draw something really detailed, I will actually use reference, but I have not felt the need to try and memorize how all these tendons go. Okay, so we've got the, I don't really think I drew the brevis very good, but it sits under, it just kind of rides along like that. I could probably clean this up a little bit. The brevis, the peroneus fibularis brevis, goes right along the back of the ankle bone, and then the longest muscle comes up and then kind of covers it. And then follows it around. They basically wrap around like this. And head towards the toes. All right, and again, you're probably not going to see these on the human form. You might see little impressions of them, but every once in a while, depending on how low the body fat is on your character. Okay, so then there's another muscle right in front, attaches right up here on the tibia, and this is, I believe, the extensor digitorum longus, I think. Might have that wrong. But it's the main muscle responsible for extension of the toes. It's going to come all the way down. If I remember right, it kind of crosses over the front, but otherwise it just kind of stays right along here, goes all the way up here. And then in front of that is the tibialis anterior, which anterior means the front, so the front of the tibia. It's just going to sit right in here like this. And that might give a little bit of shape to the front of the shin. So kind of that convex form, just a slight subtle convex form right through there. That other muscle kind of overlaps it like this. This might actually come down lower. I think it comes down lower like this. And then there's another muscle that crosses over the tibialis muscle right there and goes, it kind of crosses over like this. And I think that's the extensor hallucis longus. And then there's another one that just kind of comes over like this and tucks under like that. All right, so if I turn my reference off, you can kind of see what I've got so far. I've got a leg that is proportionate and is looking kind of realistic, I think. Now, another thing to consider with anatomy are the fat pad placements. So the fat pad placements are going to affect the form as well. So in certain regions, depending on how much fat your character has and whether it's a male or female. So since this is a female skeleton, there's going to be some fat pads that are going to be a little more prevalent on this one than, say, the male. And this is going to influence the shape. So I drew the gluteus maximus here earlier, and that was just primarily the muscle. I was trying to get the muscle in the right spot. Now, if I want to shape this even further, I can extend this out. I'm going to bring this out a little bit because there is a big fat layer over the top of that muscle. And if I remember right, there's, I think it's called the gluteal fold, which is a rounded form, which comes over here, crosses here, and this is something I play with because I don't always get it in the right spot, but I'll eyeball it after I kind of get it roughed in and try and shape it a little better. But I'm just trying to follow that maximus muscle, the gluteus maximus muscle. And I know this doesn't just come in like this and then change direction all of a sudden like that. There's a fat pad right there that kind of, instead of going like this, it kind of softens that transition like that. And also remember too that the femur is not in a relaxed state in regards to the gluteus. So the gluteus, again, muscles pull, so it's going to pull in this direction here. So that's what's going to pull this femur back. So if our femur was back like this, and then here was our pelvis, then the gluteus muscle is going to be more flexed. So it's going to come off that femur, and it's going to be much more flexed, like this. So we'll probably be able to see that fat pad a lot more, because that fat pad will sit in there like this. And it might be a little more prominent. But since we're a little bit more stretched, then this, that's going to kind of influence how I draw this. So maybe I'll just draw this a little more straight right through here, rather than, bunched up like that. So these are things I think about when I'm drawing anatomy from my head. All right, so now let's just go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup. I don't think I got this gluteal fold in the right spot. But again, because this is stretching out the gluteus a bit, I don't think that gluteal fold is going to, that's not even going to be prominent. Like, it's just going to be stretched out. So I don't think we'll even see that. So I'm just not even going to worry about that. I'm going to move on. Okay, so I can see the iliac crest from the other side. It ends right here and goes up and over. So where it ends, that's going to kind of give me an idea of where the other gluteus maximus muscle is. I can see the greater trochanter right here. The femur is obscured by the attachment to the stand, but I have enough information here. I can see this side of the femur. I can see it comes over like this. I'm going to guess that, looks like I can see the little screw right there. So the other part of the femur is right here, and it comes over like this. So I have enough information here to at least see where the femur is. And then here, since we've got this hoop part of the pelvis right here, I can kind of guess, I can kind of see it right here as well. So that's going to help me put the hamstrings in the right spot. So the gluteus is going to, again, come down a little bit on the femur right through here. It's going to come out. And then I'm just going to bring it right through here like this. All right, so that's the muscle. Now the gluteus medius, we're going to see a little bit of it right through here, right? It attaches here, not so much on the top though, it'll be a little bit on the bottom. And then it's going to go right to the greater trochanter, right? So it's going to be right through here like this. And this is important to know because granted, we're not going to see the trochanter, we're not going to really see much of the medius, but what that does by plotting these out is we get a little bit of a transition on our contour line. So you'll notice right here, it goes like this, and then it kind of comes up like this. There's a little bit of an indentation right there, and that's from the gluteus coming this way and attaching back here, and the medius coming up here. And so being able to attach it correctly down here, follow it all the way through, this helps ensure that I get it in the right spot. And it just kind of creates these little indentations naturally. All right, so back here, I'm going to draw just kind of a straight line right here like this. The tibia comes up here roughly kind of like this. I need that in place so I can get these, attaching tendons in the right spot. So just on either side, this is, that back hamstring that's going to attach right here. It's going to come out, and then it's going to taper in, and then it's going to attach right on the side there of the knee. And then that'll come over like this, and then the other hamstring on the other side, which this one's called I think this one's the biceps femoris, and then the one over here, the outside, is the semitendinosus, and it sits on top of the semimembranosus. But I'm just for now going to rough this one in. It's kind of coming right through here like this, like that. Again, erase as I go to make this a little more clear. I'm going to erase, I don't need the top of the tibia anymore. Let me erase that. And then it gets fat and then comes over like that. All right, whoops. So there's the hamstring muscles. Now I'm going to look and see if I'm actually going to be able to see any of the vastus lateralis. Because remember, that's this muscle over here on the outside. It attaches on the femur and the knee. So the knee is roughly, if I can imagine it all the way through, it's sitting probably in there like that. So the vastus lateralis, the lateralis or lateral on the outside, it's going to kind of hit right through there, and it's going to go up to the greater trochanter, or actually it's going to sit just under the greater trochanter. It kind of sits underneath it. So I can see underneath it is roughly going to be about right here, and it's going to kind of roughly go through there like that. So again, that's going to create some interest to my contour line, because we do see just a little bit of it. But that's why I like to, put the muscles in the right spot, because then they create these little contour indentations naturally. I don't have to actually do that myself. This helps ensure that it gets things in the right spot. Now, all that might be for nothing. I'm all proud of myself for, creating this nice little contour line, but what I realize is I haven't adjusted for the fat pads yet. So there's a good chance we're not even going to see that, because, when I bring the fat pads in, where I'm going to bring this out a little more. And then down underneath. So let's just bring this over and then down like this. So a little bit like this. but I'm keeping it subtle. And then we'll come around like this. And again, I may adjust these later once I turn the reference off. So yeah, we're not even going to see the vastus lateralis. I'm going to make this a little rounder right through here. Just kind of watching my outside contour edges, trying to keep them nice and smooth. All right, there we go. All right, so from here, I'm able to attach the gastrocnemius. It's going to sit right in here like this. So it's going to come out, and again, let's go about halfway down and maybe just a little bit further. So let's bring it down to here. I like to look at the orientation of the leg. It's we're not looking at it directly. It's angled just, I'd almost say if I was drawing this as a cylinder like this, we might see a little bit of the bottom, and then the center line is going to be just over this way a bit. I think that's probably the orientation I'm seeing. And so this is important to know when I draw this gastrocnemius muscle, because it's going to sit in here, and I want to have its center line over just slightly. Now the inside of the gastrocnemius is going to sit a little bit lower. It's going to be a little bit fuller, like this. I didn't bring that up to the right spot. It should be coming out like over here. And it's going to look like this. It's going to be shaped like this. So it's going to taper as it goes in between those hamstring tendons. So I'm going to go ahead and erase some of this. I don't need it anymore. And then let's bring this out. I'm going to make this nice and round. And so the center line on this is going to be kind of like this, I think. At least that's how I'm going to play it. And then from there, let's attach it to the Achilles tendon. So back of the foot. It's going to attach right here. It's going to be thin, and then it's going to get wider. So I'm adjusting this because it looks to me like it's going up and then it's coming over. So that doesn't look right to me. So that's why I go back in and I just kind of adjust it, bring it over like this. And then that's going to come like this. That's just a center line. I don't really need it, but just kind of help orient how this gastrocnemius is setting. And that's another thing to know too, is the back of the thigh or the back of the knee right here. This is all, there's a big fat pad right here as well. So all this is going to be obscured. You're not going to see any of that, the end of that gastrocnemius going into this little tunnel. I mean, you could, depending on, if you have a character that has very low body fat. But for the most part, there's usually this fat pad right back there that just kind of obscures it all. Same with back here. I'm going to say, I don't know if we'd see that or not. I'm trying to picture the fat pad sitting right there. That might give us, I don't know. That might give us a little bit of a better transition through here. That might be something I look up. I'm not sure. So anyway, let's go ahead and finish this. We've got an ankle bone coming here. This is the inside, so we're going to see, we're going to see the muscles coming down like this. So that's going to give it some shape. So let's bring this out like that. We've got this ankle bone on this side. Sits lower on the outside. We're not going to see any of those muscles over there. They're all obscured by the gastrocnemius. And then let's just bring the foot this way. All right, let's see how this is looking. All right, so let me do some cleanup. Get rid of those pelvis bones right through there and through there. And I just realized I haven't finished the leg. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm just going to do these kind of light, but not completely gone, in case I still need them. There's a gracilis muscle, the inner thigh, which attaches. I got to try and figure out where that is, because I want to say this is the front. There's some really key landmarks on the pelvis that you really got to know them so you know where the muscles attach. I'm hoping that's the front, the lower thin tract of the pelvis. I'm going to assume that's what that is, and I'm going to bring the gracilis muscle down and that comes down to the side of the knee as well. It kind of loops around like this, goes in, and then comes like that, I think. And see, that looks really wrong to me. That looks so wrong that I feel like I may need some reference here. Let's bring in another angle, because I took photos of this mannequin from all different angles. So this is the part I'm talking about right here. This is important because it divides right here. You've got your gracilis muscle coming like this, and then you've got your adductor longus, which sits on the inside of the femur like this, roughly about a third of the way up, I think, roughly. And then it comes like this, attaches thinly, comes over like this, and then I think it's the pectineus, which sits in there like that. But then over here you've got your vastus medialis, which is gonna, from this side, is going to obscure all that. Okay, so anyway, oh, you know what? That's the magnet. That's the magnet right there. That's not the bone at all. So I'm kind of a moron. I think it must attach right here. Yeah, so these come over like this. This is that hoop part I was talking about earlier. And I think it comes over and attaches. So I think this is the part I'm looking for. So I think where I'm trying to attach to is behind this hoop right here. It's kind of in this area here. So I'm going to bring that down right through here. And let's see, the vastus medialis. The vastus medialis is sitting on the inside of that femur, and it's going to come out here. I don't think we're even going to see it. So it's going to be obscured by all these other muscles. So we won't see it, so we don't got to worry about that. So we've got the gracilis, and then there's the adductor magnus we might see a little bit of, so it's going to be right through there like that. And I think that's all we're going to see from back here. You might see a little bit of the semimembranosus, but with this being a female character, we're going to have some more fat pads obscuring all this muscle texture through here. The gluteus, I feel like the gluteus, I can kind of see it through here. I brought it through there. It's going to come, let's see, the sacrum, or the tailbone comes down right through here, and then we're going to come off that. So I think we'll see the gluteus is going to kind of come through here like this, which is going to, that means I can erase all this right through here. All right, looking pretty good. This ankle bone is looking like it's really jutting out there. So coming off the pelvis right here, The obliques are going to sit in between the rib cage and the pelvis. So I'm going to come right off here, and what I like to do is really taper this quickly. I give it a nice convex form, but I'm bringing it in. So this is where you create the waist of your female character. You come off like this, and then bring it in. And this is how you define your waist. So if you bring it in a lot, you're going to have a really thin waist, which might be what you're going for. This is where you can really shape this region of your character. So you can, make this flank area right here, this oblique, you can make it more muscly, give it more of a round shape, and then bring that waist in as far or as little as you want. And then make sure you come right back and get around this rib cage. Top of the iliac crest right here. This is a little tough because the point of the rib cage is actually way over here now. So you can't do the same thing here that you can here because now we're dealing with the back. So maybe before I draw this, I'm going to just plot this spine line right along the top of the spine right here. So it's curving through there. It's going to come over like this. And then as we get up into the cervical vertebrae, up in the neck, things kind of change rather abruptly. So I'm just going to interpolate a little bit just to kind of smooth things out. I'm kind of dividing the spine. Again, I haven't plotted this yet because, well, let's see. We could go ahead and do that now. This is basically going to come like this. This is kind of the shape we're going for. Although right through here, I feel like this has got to be a little bit more convex, not so concave. And then it's going to come up the back. A little concave through here, and then a little more convex as it comes around the back. Now another thing to note too is on my model, the scapula is coming off the rib cage quite a bit. Right here, that's probably not accurate, and the only reason it's doing that is because we've got this magnet up here that's causing this scapula to come off the rib cage unrealistically. So this scapula will probably be more like this. The scapula has some very key features on it. Very key landmarks that we need to keep track of. So just for now, I'm just going to rough that in. This will all get erased, but these are key landmarks that I need. All right, so coming off here, come up, and then let's just go right into the scapula right there, and that'll be the outside boundary edge. From this side on the scapula down here, we have the only muscles we'll see on the scapula. There's the teres major, which connects to the arm. So the arm's over here. You can see the humerus back here, and that teres major is going to come through like this. So we're not really going to see much of it. We're probably not going to see the teres major at all unless it's really buff. So I'm not going to draw that. We might see a little bit of the, I think it's the subscapularis. Or no, I think it's the subscapularis. We might see a little bit of it coming up this way, just the belly of it. Let's see, what else? Let's come back to that because I'm a little unclear. On the top here, though, I do know the trapezius is going to come off like this and travel up the neck. So maybe I'll just kind of put that in, reshape it later if I need to. Okay, coming up the rib cage here, I'm just going to stay along the outside. Um, let's see, I could try and plot in the chest muscle real quick. Um, I am missing one rib on my model because of the magnet needs clearance to travel along the rib cage, so I had to get rid of one of the ribs. So this is actually rib number 2 right here. So what I like to do, I like to count down. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5. And the fifth rib here, I think is kind of important. That's where I usually put my, my chest muscle. It's wrapping around. So we got to kind of, we can see the sternum right through here. And then here's the rib coming around like this. So the chest muscle is going to start here, come around, and it's probably going to be actually coming off of the rib cage here. And I know that it's going to come up and attach on the arm. It kind of wraps around the arm roughly, I think, around this area here. So what I want to do is I want to go from here to here. Now it's not going to be a straight line like that. The muscle fibers down on this outer edge closest to me right now, those are actually connecting up here. They connect to the top like that. And then the ones that attach here are the ones that are actually over here on the inside, on the sternum, over more towards the inside of the body. So those are coming over and attaching here. So that's why we don't have this straight line like this. That's why it doesn't work like that. So this one is coming over this way. We might see a little bit of the next one coming this way, coming this way. So we're going to get kind of this cascading effect. Like that. The arm is up, the muscle's stretched. So what I like to do is just kind of, it's going to be kind of like this. All right, so there's the chest muscle there, and then it's coming up off of the chest like that. Kind of, roughly. I don't know. I'm just getting things close. So let's go ahead and erase all that. We're not going to see that. Because that's coming around behind the humerus, this upper arm bone, and wrapping around and attaching right through there. So we're not going to see any of that. We will see some of this though. All right, so there's the chest muscle. Next, key feature here, the scapula. So we've got this angle here, and then this is important here. This is like the, you know, the clavicle or the collarbone on the front side. This is kind of the same thing, but on the back side. This is, they actually attach together. So from here, this is a key landmark. First thing I'm going to start with is the teres major, which is attaches right here at the bottom, and then it goes right under the arm through here, and this is stretched out. So I'm just gonna, this isn't gonna be a big fat muscle. If the arm was not all the way up like that, but if the arm was more back, then we could flex this muscle, but it's stretching this muscle out. It attaches here, and then it kind of comes underneath through here. So I'm just going to draw that like that. So there's the teres major, and then it's going to come, I'm not going to make it real big. You know, if you're doing like a male bodybuilder type character, then yeah, you might make this muscle a lot bigger. All right, so there's the teres major, and then the latissimus dorsi now it's going to be coming also wrapping around this teres major. It's going to come through here like this. Let's bring it, I was just kind of eyeball this. Oh, let's get rid, I was wondering what that was. I drew the sternum. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. This is a little, let's just kind of clean this up. Okay, so the latissimus dorsi, it's an interesting muscle, big old back muscle. It's got all these tendons that attach roughly on the iliac crest back here, and then they come up to the rib cage, and then it's a big sheet muscle. It's like a big sheet. So I'm going to bring it up like this, and then the muscle itself comes along the rib cage like this, and then it starts to taper, and it's going to go up under the teres major, and it's also going to attach on the other side of the arm there, on the side we can't see. So I'm going to come right through here like this, give it a little bit of a, curve shape through here. Probably not going to see it down here where it attaches, but it kind of creates this, it kind of follows the form of the rib cage, and it kind of comes back to the spine like this. And it's going to follow the spine like that. And then what it does is it comes right down. You usually see it covering part of the scapula down at the bottom here. And then it comes over to the spine. And you're not really going to see where it attaches to the spine because you have the trapezius muscle also here on the back, which starts down here somewhere around where these lower ribs attach to the spine. I always forget where, and I should look that up. But the trapezius starts through there, and it's going to come up to the scapula and obscure that other part of the latissimus dorsi, the lat muscles. So we won't see that. And the trapezius is going to come all the way down. It's almost like an upside down arrow. Like it comes down to a point down here, and it's going to go up the other side like this. It's the center of the spine right there. Which again, this is the point of the spine, so these muscles are going to sit and be shaped by the spine. So this whole curve, I'm going to bring it out a little more, right through there like that. And the trapezius breaks apart. The trapezius has a lot of parts to it, and I should probably study these more. I just know this lower part comes down into like an arrow, and then up here, again, this clavicle part right here, back here, the trapezius comes up and over to the neck. It's going to go all the way up behind the head. And there'll probably be a crease right here because the arm's coming up. The whole thing's lifting up, so that's causing the trapezius to kind of change shape. This is the other part of the trapezius right here on the other side. And so I know there's this top part, there's the middle part, and then the bottom part. So if you break it up into like 3 sections, you could learn the trapezius that way. And I'll probably have to double check that because I'm kind of forgetting how the middle part goes. But anyway, let's move on. Back here, since this lower back here, we've probably got like an erector spinae muscle, although I don't think that's what that is. I think that's actually part of the oblique that we can see from the front, because the erector spinae muscle, I think, is going to attach somewhere here. We might see a little bit of it following the shape of the spine like this. This is going to come around, kind of follow the form of that rib. Okay, now we have what are called serratus muscles, which attach the scapula to the rib cage. And sometimes you can see them and they're really cool looking, but I think we're not going to see them because they're going to be hidden by the latissimus dorsi from this angle. But they attach to the ribs roughly here, and they kind of look like teeth, and they go all the way up. And so I attach those to the from the scapula to the rib cage like this, and they go all the way around. There might be one right here. I can't remember how far. I think they go down to the. Actually, that's too far down. I think that's the 10th rib. I don't remember how far down they go, because you can't really see the lower ones anyway. They're going to be hidden, but you'll usually see these middle ones from the other side. But we're not going to see those. Although it is kind of nice to have those in place sometimes, because then it helps you plot the direction of the obliques, the flanks, all these kind of muscles in here that come down. All right. Will we see any of the deltoid? We can see the humerus right through here. The deltoid is going to attach roughly here, and it's going to come around and attach through here. So we might see a little bit of the deltoid right through here. So that'll help define this shape right here. All right, let's go over to this arm now. Now we can start plotting in. So here's a key landmark right here. We've got the elbow. And from this point here, we can attach the tricep. The tricep attaches in two spots. The outer head, or the lateral head, is going to attach right through here on the back of the humerus, kind of like this. And then the medial head, lateral outside, medial inside, is going to come over here and attach kind of right in here to the scapula. So that's a good point to know, because you're going to come off of that scapula, you're going to come out, that nice big fat belly of the tricep, and then you're going to head right to the elbow. This is another one you got to think about if the arm is stretched, flexed, or extended. In this case, it's extended, which means the tricep is going to be flexed. So then coming over on this side, this is going to come like this and like this. So there's these are two heads of the tricep. And try me three, so there's another head somewhere, and I think it's kind of underneath, and I think it's over on this side here, like through there. I don't remember. Anyway, so this is going to kind of come over like this, and then this one come through like this roughly. Let's erase those, because now all these muscles are going underneath, so we're not going to see them underneath the triceps. Let's get those out of the way. Right here, this point right here, I'm just going to come off of that and bring that towards the center of the humerus right through here. Let's get the bicep in place. The bicep is going to attach to the radius, which is this bone right here, which is represented by a magnet. It's going to attach right in here, and then it's going to attach kind of on the front right through here, and also to another bone. I think it's called the coracoid process, which you can't see here. We're not going to see that other side of the bicep. The bicep has two heads. So this one on the front of the end of the humerus is going to come this way. Now remember, this is going to be stretched out. The bicep is not flexed at this point because the arm is extended. So this is going to be nice and stretched. So I'm going to come up here and just go right into there like that. And there's the bicep. Now in between the bicep and the tricep, right on the side, about a third of the way up on the humerus, there's the brachioradialis muscle, which is going to start here, come up and over this radius right through here, and it's going to head to the thumb. So here's the thumb down here. So this kind of helps me plan the direction that this is going to go. it's going to obscure the bicep. So we're not going to see the bicep anymore right through there. So this is going to come up, come down, and then we're going to start to not see it anymore as it goes around the other side of the arm. Now, another key point here. This sometimes you sometimes make this a little muscular, or there's a lot of stuff underneath it, so it's pushing it out a lot in this area. And after I draw it, I'll reshape it because I might have it too big here. But right here, here's another landmark right here. This is where a lot of the extensor muscles for the arm are going to attach. And they're mostly going to the top of the hand. So the top of the hand up here, I'm going to bring them out, and then that's going to be kind of that's going to be my target area for these. So these are going to come out. They're fat, and then they get really thin, and not super fat, but like kind of like this. And there's I think like three major forearm muscles, extensor muscles that attach right here and head to the top of the hand. And those will be partially obscured by this brachioradialis muscle as it comes over like this. So I'm going to erase right through there. You will see them under here though, and now they'll obscure the other part of the brachioradialis like this. This is the ulna bone. You can actually trace part of it like this, because that's actually a prominent feature on the forearm. There's actually kind of a crevice there. You'll actually see it on most people's forearms. Now from here, at this point, all our flexor muscles are going to they'll be fat through here and then taper and come into the underside of the hand. And that's really all I'm going to do there. And then this ball right here is the bone for the ulna. That's kind of a prominent feature. You'll see that. You'll see this little protrusion on most people's wrists. I'm just going to, the hand on this model is already shaped. So, except for the thumb area, but I'll just draw these in really quick. For the head, I like to just kind of get this nose out of the way. I'm just going to shape the nose like this. Kind of the ball right through there, and then comes to the bridge of the nose. And then I'm just going to do a nice, smooth, more feminine type curve through here. The nostril I'm going to put roughly right around this nasal cavity region. Just a little curve right there and bring that over like that. The mouth is closed here, so I like to think that the mouth line is just above the teeth here, and then it swoops down to the teeth. So it's up above the top teeth, and then it comes down a bit. And then we can have the upper lip kind of protrude out a little bit and come in like that. And then I'll just kind of reshape this a little bit. Lower lip, kind of like that. I may have come out too far. Just shorten that a bit. Okay, now the eye. Here's the eye socket. The eyeball actually sits inside this socket. It fills up the whole socket like this. And, we got the pupil right through there. That looks a little crazy because we don't have the eyelids on. So I usually like to get the ball of the eye roughed in first. And it actually is a little more rounder where the pupil is, kind of like that. Now I'll go ahead and plot in the eyelids. The inside of the eye is down, kind of might see a little bit of it, and then this is going to come around the eye like this. On the top, depending on how wide the eye is, I'm going to come over and then swoop down like that, and then this will be like the upper eyelid. And then the eyebrow kind of comes, that top ridge of the orbital socket on the inside, it kind of rides along that. Comes around like, I'm going to say like that. I don't think I do eyebrows correct as far as their placements, although I think that's something I need to actually spend some time doing a little more research on, a little more reference, and getting used to how the eyebrows sit. I've never felt too confident with my eyebrows, but I get them close. All right, then we got the zygomatic arch here, which helps create the cheek line. So I'm just going to kind of underneath it plot that in like that. Back here is the ear hole. So that kind of gives me an idea of where the ear is going to be placed. The jaw is right here. Now there's a lot of muscles in the jaw, so I'm going to, of course, allow a lot of room away from the bone for those muscles. So I've got the jawline coming up like this. And then that's going to help me determine the placement of the ear. I like to align the bottom of the ear with the nose and the top of the ear with the eyebrow. And then, of course, it's a matter of like, okay, well, which way, where does that line, how does that line travel? So roughly kind of maybe through here like this. And I'm not going for extreme accuracy. I like to just try and get things close. And so then I'm going to start the ear here, do my kind of my coffin shape. And I like to pay attention to this angle. The ear, I see it more often than not is angled a little bit further back like this. Whereas when I used to draw ears, I used to just kind of draw them straight up and down like that. And over the years, I've kind of noticed that that's not right. So I've been trying to tilt my ears back a little bit more. Okay, and then let's just round off this head a little bit. Not make it so lumpy. And then real quickly, let's get this hand in. Hands have always been tough. I think most people find them tough, so I still will look at my own hand. And let's just bring that in like that. The wrist bones are sitting right here where those magnets are. And then right here is that ulna bone. Creates that little protrusion there. So then from the elbow, I just simplify all this. Just kind of a little longer through here, a little shorter through here. Just kind of that nice little forearm hilltop look. That ulna ridge. The bone kind of creates that ridge. We're not going to really see the other muscles. They're all obscured. All right, let's turn our skeleton off, see how we're looking. Looks like I've accidentally erased an area through here. So now I'm just going to clean up things we can't see. We're not going to see the serratus muscles. So let's get rid of those. Serratus anterior. Or is it anterior serratus? I don't know. I always get that mixed up. Forgot to draw the deltoid muscles. So let's get that in really quick. Got all the arm muscles except the deltoid. So the deltoid is going to connect. Nice thing about the humerus, there's a point on the humerus where the humerus changes directions. And that little point is where the deltoid connects. So that's a good landmark to have. So right about in here, it's going to come up, and where we're headed, the target region is up to the clavicle. And there's three parts of the deltoid. There's the front, the side, and the back. And I'm surprised it's actually considered one muscle, because it really is three different muscles, because they're all pulling in different directions. So this clavicle region right here, I'm just going to come up and over like this. And then it's going to come back around to the scapula right through here. Near the back, there's like the connecting tendon, and then the actual muscle itself will actually, you'll see the shape of it more right in here, but it attaches with this tendon right here, which sometimes you can see. And so this is going to come over and around that tricep. Kind of like that. So let's delete, let's erase some of the stuff back there. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of get that separation between the lateral head of the deltoid and then this posterior head of the deltoid. It kind of follows that tricep, comes around, got that nice shape right through there, and then we'd see the top of that scapular ridge right through there. All right, so that's, and then we won't be able to see any of the anterior, the front head of that deltoid. It's obscured, it's on the other side. All right, so now let's turn this off and see what we got. Because this is a female character, I'm going to go ahead and put in the breast as well. And I'm just going to imagine that it's sitting right through here. And because her arm is up, then it's not going to be, sitting here nice and full like this. It's actually going to, be pulling up a bit like this. So that's the shape I'm going for right there, because the arm's going to be pulling it up. I think like that would be pretty good. That will obscure the chest muscle. We're not going to see that side of the chest muscle. All right. So now I've got all that plotted out. And yeah, maybe this seems like a really long process. Well, guess what? It is a long process. But the end goal is to eventually get to the point where, through repetition, just like everything else in drawing, the faster and quicker I can get at this, and being able to remove some of the training wheels here and there. So I'm going to knock the opacity down on this. I'm going to create a new layer. And now I'm going to go to my black, and I'm just going to grab an ink pen. I'm going to grab the Studio pen here on Procreate, since it tapers with the amount of pressure. And then I'm just going to go in and get the key areas of this drawing. Okay, let's take a look and see how this is looking without all my construction lines. And again, the hair has thickness, so you want to bring it up off of the skull. I'm just going to do something real simple here, nothing major. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase that. And the back of the head, the back of the neck, that region right through there. There we go. Let's bring that down like that. Bring that through like that. And then maybe we'll see part of that tendon. Bring that through there. See if that helps that area. Yeah, I think that looks better. Okay, so there's my character. Now from here, if I wanted to take it further, I could, do another layer and then use this as my basis for creating clothing. I could go in and now I could clothe her. Maybe if I'm doing like a comic and she's like a superhero, I could have her costume on, or maybe she's just a regular person in street clothes. I could go in and start doing that. But for now, that's not what I intended. This was just a practice exercise for helping me learn the muscles of the body and getting them placed correctly in the right spots. This is a nice one of the back right here. I could do a screen capture like that, and then I can go over here and just bring that in really quick. And I can set that right there, and then I can start using that to check my work, check my reference. Remember, I was having some troubles with the trapezius. I think for the most part, I got the shape semi-decent. And this is what I do for fun. This is just what I do for practice.